Greetings, everyone. It's like an acceleration of people coming in here right at the end. I want to say just a few things before we begin to sit. And I'd actually like for us to do a chant together before we sit. We'll voice the verse of the robe after we sit, as we often do. But I'll tell you why. As so many of you know, this is a very special time of year. In fact, this week includes, on the Christian calendar, the beginning of Advent, which suggests that something sacred is coming. Something's about to happen. And something that's liberating, something that's illuminating. And in the Jewish calendar, Hanukkah is beginning as well. Something sacred is being restored or dedicated. And something miraculous is happening. That there's an infinite light, because the oil in the lamp doesn't burn away. You know, there's much more to the story, and I'm not doing a very good job about it, but there's important things happening now. This miracle of practice, there's an infinite source of light that's available to us, and something sacred is on its way. And these stories are told through people's lives, and there's also something at this time of year about mothers and children. And since my mother just recently passed, our mother passed, and it's a time of where we think about birth and death and the mystery of the whole thing. And so that's a little bit of context of where we are. And since these things have to do with certain spiritual practices and even religion, let's start with a hymn. And in this case, it's going to be the hymn to the perfection of wisdom. It's a Buddhist, but that's what I'd like to chant to begin with. And I'll screen share it, since most of us don't have it memorized. So many of us do. Hymn to the perfection of wisdom. So if you will use your voice, and along with me, you'll only hear me in this, but this is an homage to Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, which is the mother of all Buddhas. So here we go. Homage to the perfection of wisdom, the lovely, the holy. The perfection of wisdom gives light. Unstained, the entire world cannot stain her. She is a source of light, and from everyone in the triple world, she removes darkness. Most excellent are her works. She brings light so that all fear and distress may be forsaken, and disperses the gloom and darkness of delusion. She herself is an organ of vision. She has a clear knowledge of the own being of all Dharma, for she does not stray away from it. The perfection of wisdom of the Buddhas has set in motion the wheel of Dharma. The perfection of wisdom gives light, and a light that's not going to be obscured. And that light removes obstacles. like fear and distress. And there's that strange line about she herself is an organ of vision. What is being seen and what's seeing are the same thing. So I'll be speaking about this. So let's begin our sitting. And I'll offer some invitations and maybe some instructions during our sitting. But I wanted to set the context for our season and for our time together today. So prepare yourself for sitting now. As we settle into our shared silence and stillness, I want to thank you for inviting me into the space where you're now sitting in front of a screen, maybe alone, maybe with another person, but I would like for you to imagine something. Imagine that I have shown up, maybe unexpectedly. Today we had a schedule, but what if I showed up unexpectedly at your home or your office or wherever you spend your days? Very, very privately, just you and me, very intimately. So imagining that I've arrived in that way, and just as quietly and as gently as I could, hopefully with the same attitude as I'm expressing now, I'll say to you in this privacy of our meeting, I want to let you know something. That's why I've come. I want to let you know that you have been chosen. And that you've been chosen to be transformed in such a way that your inconceivably brilliant completeness, your true nature, will shine forth. You'll be enlightened, awake to the fullness of reality, liberated within your everyday embodied human conditioning. This is what I've come to tell you. So take that in just for a moment. And I'll continue just a bit. I want it to be very clear that the primary consequence of being transformed in this way is that you will become quite naturally and easily such an humble, a grace-filled, luminous light that wherever you go, your very presence will naturally invite and allow every sentient being you meet to have the opportunity of being liberated right along with you. So again, just a few breaths with this message. You've been chosen. And to be a consequence to this choosing. I can imagine that my arriving like this and making this surprising and outrageous announcement may seem like something coming totally out of the blue. And I know my claim is outrageous and may seem extravagant. And I'll acknowledge that this announcement and the information I'm giving you has come without any real explanation. Just the basic, bold statement, which I'll repeat: you have been chosen. And now for the tricky part. There's a request that goes along with the announcement. One that's actually required for all of this to be set in motion in the ways that I've mentioned, that I've claimed. And the request is very simple. Are you willing? Your willingness to be transformed in this way is an essential part of the deal, because this will be a game changer, a life changer. Nothing will be the same for you ever again, even though everything around you will remain exactly the same. You have been chosen. Are you willing? It's like standing at a threshold, facing maybe some darkness or unknown fears, but this is the spiritual path, which is reminding me at the moment of the first few lines of David Whyte's poem, Faces at Braga, in which he literally is describing standing at the mouth of a cave in the Himalayas, a sacred Tibetan shrine in the side of a mountain. And the first few lines say, "In monastery darkness, by the light of one flashlight, the old shrine room waits in silence, while above the door we see the terrible figure, fierce eyes demanding, will you step through?" And the description of his experience goes on, but it's at that threshold where we stand and there's the question, will you step through? And if you say yes, then all of this will unfold in its own time, quite mystically and completely, by grace alone. You cannot make this happen, but can welcome it and surrender to it. And our practice provides a wonderful context, a foundation for the nourishment of its blossoming. To sit in zazen is to say yes. To follow the forms, to bow, is to surrender to the practice as you celebrate and acknowledge the very things I'm talking about. But there's a warning label on this package, as there often is. If you hear the request, the announcement, you've been chosen, and the request, are you willing? And you do step through, the warning is you may feel like you're dying. You may also feel that you're more alive than you could ever have imagined yourself to be. And you won't understand any of this. But if you're willing to completely surrender, you will become it. You know, we chant in the Bodhisattva vow, Buddha's way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. This is a manifestation of that vow, the embodied inconceivable. And I'll say one more thing. You are already a completely unique gift in this world. Whether you believe it or feel it, you are already a completely unique gift in this world. And if you take this step, you will realize your wholeness. And this realization will have nothing to do with your ego or your identity or your personality or anything about worthiness or success, and you will not become more purified or perfected. You won't become a better self, but you will become and realize yourself as an unbound function in the world. And that functioning will move through your being and through all the beings you encounter as an endless source of mercy and love. That's what I've come to tell you today. To announce to you and to ask you. And there's a short version which goes, vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Actually, as maybe kind of as wild as it seems. What I'm saying, it's actually what happens in inquiry all the time. Whether we're in person in a retreat, or whether we're in person at Appamadas we've done for years, or whether we're online, I do my best to see you beyond your story or your identity or the problems that you bring. And it can be unsettling, to be chosen in this way and to be seen in this way. And of course, everyone else is witnessing our meeting, and then they join in and see you, hopefully, with that same loving presence. And if not, they get to witness their own barriers to love. So that's the seeing. And the ones who are seeing, and the ones who are choosing, me at first and then all of you, are transformed by the choosing. You get this? And this can be a big surprise because you're watching what's going on with maybe me and one other person, and you feel yourself being changed. There are other parts of Zen practice where we see this in the koans. And the stories in the koans, it's like, meet me. It's like, okay, but not the way you think you're going to be met, like an inquiry. Let's step further. Let's go beyond. Let's go to the edge of what's possible. Even when we just sit zazen, and the koans say, meet me, zazen says, sit with me. We're going to drop our words and enter the infinite mystery of our body and breath. Are you willing to chance that? Maybe we just have a class. Meet me within a koan, sit with me in zazen and learn with me. Others have gone before us. What did they discover? How were they changed? What can we add to the story? And even in the Zen or spiritual arts, meet me, sit with me, learn with me, create with me. Call forward the ways of expressing the fullness and beauty we see in each other. Awe and beauty. So back to the two main pieces that I'm emphasizing. You have been chosen, and the question of, are you willing to have light coming in? When someone sees you beyond all your identities and the notions of who you think you are, have you noticed that it's kind of infectious? That others catch it, and then the seeing is amplified. The light gets brighter. It happens, doesn't it? And then the question, are you willing? If you respond to the invitation, and sometimes it means, like walking up to the chair in the old days, or in a retreat, or stepping forward and raising your hand, spotlighting yourself here. Everything comes along with that yes. This is like the simplest and most direct vow, saying yes. And nothing is added, but things begin to fall away. And there is fear, but there's also profound relief. You've been chosen, are you willing? So, as I'm often doing, I'm trying to state the truth of spiritual life as clearly as I can. And the word enunciation, is about how clearly we speak. But it's also, I think, about how clearly we choose each other, how clearly we can say yes in response to the choosing. And we do our best. But I'm also inviting you to imagine an announcement. You've been chosen, which is the Annunciation. And we know that word often referring to the formal announcement or proclamation, and at least in the Christian mythology, about when Gabriel comes to announce to Mary that this thing is going to happen. She's going to have this special child. She's been chosen. And Gabriel says, are you willing? And this is the model that I'm using. Think of enunciation as enunciation for effort, for eloquence in speaking. And annunciation is for announce, to make this big announcement. Every Dharma talk is a very human, less than perfect enunciation of the Dharma, of what's possible. And every Dharma talk is an announcement that nothing is missing and that you're complete. This is a side note, but I found it interesting in the traditional biblical Annunciation, when Gabriel does these things with Mary, and at the moment, at least in one of the Gospels in John, it says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And if I drop the theistic references for a moment, what I hear is Dogen. Your body and mind, as well as the bodies and minds of others, drop away. No trace of realization remains, and this no trace continues endlessly. We embody the Buddha's way, and we live in the world in that way. So this may seem odd that I'm bringing in my sermon today the hymn to the perfection of wisdom, but I don't think there's a more beautiful power or clear enunciation of the Annunciation than Marie Howe's poem by that name. It's a short poem, Annunciation. And I've said many times, I think this is my favorite poem, because it clearly captures what I feel is the heart of practice. And it was written from the viewpoint of Mary in response to the angel's visit and the announcement. You've been chosen, are you willing? It's not very long, but listen carefully. This is Mary speaking. Even if I don't see it again, nor ever feel it, I know it is. And that if once it hailed me, it ever does. And so it is myself I want to turn in that direction, not as towards a place, but it was a tilting within myself, as one turns a mirror to flash the light where it isn't. I was blinded like that, and swam at what shone at me, only able to endure it by being no one. And so specifically myself, I thought I'd die from being loved like that. The moments when I have had openings, maybe you've had them too in practice, I'm sure you have, little Kensho experience, little moments of opening. She says, even if I don't see it again, because we try to make it happen again and we can't, but we've had these moments, even if I don't see it again, nor ever feel it, I know it is. We can't not know that. And if once it hailed me, it called me, it's always there. That call is always there. And so when I want to turn myself in that direction, she says, it's not a place, but it's a tilting within myself as one turns a mirror to flash the light where it isn't. It illuminates something. It enlightens something. And then she says, but I was blinded like that. I was blinded and swam in what shone at me, only able to endure it by being no one. Body and mind dropping away. No self. And so specifically myself, because it's the only entryway of a human, that I thought I'd die from being loved like that. That last line is amazing, isn't it? I thought I would die from being loved like that. And most of the artistic, literary, theological references to the Christian Annunciation are from this perspective, from Mary's. And the poem is the most exquisite expression, at least for me, of that experience, I think, because it's so universal. There's nothing, Mary's name is never used, Jesus is not used, the archangel is not used, none of that. It's so universal. A moment of deep inner knowing, or grace accessible to everyone, you and me, not just Mary. It's the mystical core of the request and the ascent. Will you? Yes, I will. And then this week I was made aware of another poem, one from the perspective of the Archangel Gabriel. Now this is unusual. And this one completely took my breath away. It's written by Richardson, artist and author, United Methodist minister. And it's a little bit longer, but this is what inspired me to say the things I said to you when we were sitting. It's similar to the perspective I took when we were sitting. And it's the perspective I take as a teacher and as a spiritual friend all the time. And it's the place in which I meet you in inquiry and where you join me in choosing and seeing and discovering our collective yes in practice. And it also does another thing. It reflects the profound vulnerability that I feel, along with the immense inspiration that I feel, all of it coming quite naturally with the role that I'm inhabiting. Something you might not see or imagine or know what's going on inside of me. Although I weep enough that you see it sometimes. So here's the same moment, but this is from Gabriel's side. I can already feel it coming. Okay, here we go. Gabriel, for a moment I hesitated on the threshold. For the space of a breath I paused, unwilling to disturb her last ordinary moment, knowing that the next step would cleave her life, that this day would slice her story in two, dividing all the days before and all the ones to come. The artist would later depict the scene. Mary dazzled by the archangel, her head bowed in humble assent, awed by the messenger who condescended to leave paradise to bestow such an honor upon a woman and mortal. Yet I tell you, it was I who was dazzled. I who was agape when I came upon her, reading at the loom in the kitchen. I can't now recall, only that the woman before me, blessed and full of grace, long before I called her so, shimmered with how completely she inhabited herself, inhabited the space around her, inhabited the moment that hung between us. I wanted to save her from what I had been sent to say. Yet when the time came, when I had stammered the invitation, and history would not record the sweat on my brow, the pounding of my heart, would not note that I said, "Do not be afraid," to myself as much as to her. It was she who saved me. Her first deliverance, her "let it be," not just declaration to the divine, but a word of solace, of soothing, of benediction. For the angel in the doorway who would hesitate one last time, just for the space of a breath, torn from his chest, before wrenching himself away from her radiant consent, her beautiful and awful yes. So I don't know if that lands powerfully for you. Marie Howe's small poem is the best description I know of the experience of awakening. And Jan Richardson is an immersion into this relational field of how that awakening unfolds. Gabriel says, it was I who was dazzled. That's how I feel in inquiry every time. I who found myself, when I came upon her, this is the way I feel when I see all of you, blessed and full of grace, long before I say anything, shimmering with how completely you inhabit yourself, inhabiting the space around you, inhabiting the moment that hangs between us. And I offer you comfort. I say, don't be afraid, as much to myself as I do to you. He said it was she who saved me. It is you who awakened me. And when you assent, and when you step forward, it's like a benediction. And you have that image of the angel waiting, for the one last time before wrenching himself away. The poem says, from her radiant consent, her beautiful and awful yes. Those moments where at the end of meeting we pause for a moment and there's a breath before we shift. So this was such a powerful reflection of what it's like for us to meet. And like for the experience of what it's like for me in practice discussion, in inquiry, any kind of intimate meeting, or after a retreat, I feel the same thing. And since it's a bit of a sermon today, I have to have a benediction. This one written yesterday by Anne Lamott, who's always a good one. And it says, life is much wilder, sweeter, violent, heartbreaking, weirder, richer, more insane, awful, beautiful, and profound than we were prepared for as children, or that I'm comfortable with as a grown-up. She taught Sunday school, so she said, in my Sunday school classes after tragedy, and I'm pausing, and this benediction is important because of the tragedies we've just witnessed. We always witness every day, but there's a lot this week. In my Sunday school classes after tragedy, we always spent extra time making art. Cards for children in the towns where shootings took place. Or for the people in the regular church whose hearts are broken. Someone said that art is the greatest expression of the human spirit. And my kids are glitter glue cantors. Don't you love that? We've made garlands out of coffee filters to string in our fellowship hall to remind people of peace and buoyancy. The paradox is that in the face of our meager efforts, we discover that in the smallest moments of taking in and making beauty, and actively being people of goodness and mercy and outreach, we are saved. You are chosen. Will you say yes? And the paradox that is that in the face of our meager efforts, we discover that in the smallest moments of taking in and making beauty, like this, and actively being people of goodness and mercy and outreach, we are saved. Over and over and over. So that's my sermon for the day. And if there are ways in which my announcement, my annunciation, that you have been chosen, and if your response has been yes, and there are things that accrue from that, then please meet me, because that way everyone else gets a chance to participate in the saving I see Eileen had her hand up first, I believe.
Hmm.
And there she is.
Hello, Flint. I can't believe that I was planning to come say to you today that through these years I know you have seen me. For 10 years, you have looked at me. And mostly I would feel fear and shame. But what I wanted to tell you today, before I knew what you were going to say, is that now I can see you, and I can lift my eyes and look at you, seeing me, and I can receive it. And I am so very grateful that you have persisted. And that's really all I wanted to. I have seen what you were doing with me. I just could not do anything with it. And
Until you could.
now I can. So thank you. And
That's why the persistence is important.
thank you.
Because I believe, I have great confidence in this. So I won't stop.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. And Nelda.
Hello, Flint. You recalled to me my own Annunciation story, and it started with you a little over 6 years ago. And I had been attending Appamada for Sunday service about 3 weeks, and then made the very uninformed decision of going into a 7-day, all day long intensive.
Oh.
And at the time, it didn't feel good. I want to be honest.
Of course.
It broke me in so many different ways that I didn't understand and didn't know how to gather from.
Yeah, you didn't get the warning label before you went in.
No, I thought, this will be fun. And it was, but it was also other things.
Sometimes you feel like you're dying, as I said.
Yes, exactly. And I remember we had practice discussion, one with you, a couple with you, and maybe one with Peg, I don't remember. And I also recall very vividly, I was at a point in my life, and had been for a long time, of not understanding at all why people chose to live. It's not that I felt like I would do anything to end my own life, but I did not understand it because that's not what my experience of life had been. Being working, you remember? And I've brought this up a few times before at different times in our discussions among the Sangha. And I think, Flint may remember this differently, but what I know is what imprinted on my heart. And when I said that to you, why do people do this thing called life? I don't get it. Your response that imprinted on my heart, regardless of how you enunciated, was just stay. And now, and at the time, I accepted. I thought, I will just stay. We'll see what comes. And here I am filled with gratitude. Gratitude and humility. Thank you.
For staying.
Thank you for being the one.
Yeah, that was your yes. Mm-hmm.
That was my yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie. Hello.
First, just thank you. The red thread is back, you may notice.
Yeah.
Um,
Good, nice and strong.
yeah. I'll let the light in.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say pretty much what Eileen said. Thank you for seeing me. And thank you for the opportunity to see you. as as things changed in my life and in your life around our dear partners.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Mhm.
And I've felt you in my heart, and I've been sending you in my heart, but without words. So much love in these last months as all things were going on in both of our lives, some of it known and some of it unknown, most of it unknown, I think, in
I
terms
felt
of
it.
what it really is. So I'm listening to you today, and I'm not an easy crier, as I have said before, but I had, snot out of my nose and tears rolling down my cheeks, and suddenly there was a noise, a sort of scrapey noise, and I realized that Joe was outside on our balcony, um, scraping the snow off. She had decided to choose this moment to do that, and there I was, a mess, and trying my best to listen and stay focused. And the first words that came to my mind were yours that I've heard now. Oh, now this. And so I found myself just letting it be and doing my, it didn't interfere with my response to you. And I could kind of see her through the window and think, what a lovely thing that she was trying to do. And I also want to share with you your impact on her. She still refers to you whenever I mention your name, you know, my guy.
Am I still her
uh,
boyfriend?
yeah, oh yeah. And it's all based on that, that lovely little interaction that you had with her at my Jukai. And she got it. She saw you,
Yeah, it was in
and
the form of outrageous flirting, but it was
yeah,
good.
it was. On both parts. And it was perfect for the
Mhm.
moment. And so, like, you are part of us here.
So nice. Well,
Thank you, thank
give
you.
her my best and give her a
I
hug.
I certainly will. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Ah, Denise.
So I kind of, when you recited Mary Howe's poem, that is accompanying me for the last 10 years. The last two lines, it's like from, that's not possible, yes, it is possible. No, it's not possible, yes, it's possible.
Yeah.
And when you asked about the yes, I think something in me has been saying yes for a long, long time.
I think you're right.
Mm. And you are just there to watch this yes, I think, and to remind me of it and to give space to it. And in a way, it's an easy thing, and it's not easy, but it's.
Well, one of my secret tactics is without saying it, hopefully, I'm communicating, this is the question. I'll go first. I'll say yes first, and I'll wait for you.
Yeah.
And you can come and go as many times as you want, but I'll say yes first. And you felt it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think it's like the basis of me is the yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always seen it.
Mm.
You're here again. You show up. You're here.
Thank you, Flint.
Thank you for continuing. Lisa,
I've got a little lag. Sorry. You
I
can
can hear you.
tell.
That's good, even though it doesn't
Oh,
match
good.
up.
Good. My voice isn't lagging. It's like, um, oh, thank you so much for the wonderful poems you bring that keep opening me up. Those poems stay with me. But most of all, it's like those words. Are you willing? It was like a train hitting me in the chest. I mean, it was a visceral impact because there's something I could do that I'm not quite willing to do that would change dynamics in my family and with, and my extended family and my family by marriage, I guess. It's like, it's so, am I willing to even show up? And I just resisted. I felt so much fear when you said those words. It's amazing because it's like, oh, yeah, that is exactly what I've been struggling this week. If only I am willing to show up.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It seems like a simple request on one level, but that's why there's such a warning. It's like this is, and why in the poem from Gabriel's perspective, he was saying, "Oh my gosh, I know what I'm about to ask, and it's a tough thing. Everything will be different."
yeah. And I feel like, oh, I'm being asked,
That's right.
will you show up in this difficult, fraught situation where you feel a lot of pain? And, when I'm in a lot of pain, I recognize that, I so much want to externalize my pain on others, right? And let them see how much pain I'm in. I mean, how ungracious is that? Um, I mean, the satisfaction doesn't last very long.
That's right.
So, am I willing to show up and simply, I guess, be a light? And can I do it? Can I show up in the way I want to do? And what helps me is thinking, oh, it's not for me.
Right.
It would change me, but would also change others.
Right.
Would have a cascading effect.
And this kind of question goes on and on through life. It's not like you answer it once. This is the ongoing question that we live
Wow.
with. That's the ongoing question of practice. Every time you take your seat for zazen, Like, oh, here we are again. Am I willing? I'm being called. Am I willing? Yes. You sit down.
The deep question for me is, am I really committed to this practice?
Apparently, because you keep showing up.
I keep showing up no matter how embarrassing and foolish I feel. But yeah, it's kind of like a little challenge. I'm gonna wind up, but it is. It's
Yeah.
challenge isn't the right word, but can I do it?
Yeah. And you chose to live when you could have not. So,
Thanks for the reminder.
yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Mary Beth.
Hi, Flint.
Hey, she
I
shows
just
up.
I just wanted to say thank you again for it's like you have a vibrational wave into my brain and my heart because I show up and you show up saying exactly what I needed to hear.
No, I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole chosen metaphor for me of on a day when I was really just ready to give up on my mother's care,
Yeah.
say, I can't do it another day. And the family conflict, I show up and you inspire me. I love you. I see you and thank you for seeing me.
I do. And thanks for that encouragement. It keeps me going. It's lovely nourishment. And I hope things go well with your mom and your family. I've been there still in the midst of a lot, so take care of
Thank
yourself.
you.
Okay.
I will. Thank you.
And Suzanne.
Hi, Flint.
Hi.
I was completely bowled over by what really was the consecration you gave all of us at that in that meditation. It hit me at such a deep level, and so I mean I felt it through my whole body. It was just extraordinary, and um, it, it's it was a profound opening to the holy. I mean, that's what a consecration is. It's a dedication to the holy and an invitation. It was very hard for me to accept when you said you've been chosen. It was really hard for that. I was like, well, wait a minute. How does he know that? How does who said so? um, but as you led us through that meditation, your the invitation, you opened it. It let me get a glimpse of what it would be, what it would mean, what it would feel in a way that I never felt before. And I've had many times in my life that I have been asked, was I willing? And I didn't know at the time. But this time was different somehow. And um, um, I feel like my whole life has been leading me to this saying yes and stepping even more into my answer. So thank you deeply, deeply, deeply. It was profound, and I am so grateful, as other people have said, that I feel so seen by you, and I feel that I can see you, and you're such a special gift to all of us. This today was a blessing that you gave to all of us. So thank you. I love you.
Well, it's part of why I started with the homage to the perfection of wisdom, because it was, like you said, an invitation into the holy. So why don't we end with one recitation of it again as our ending? I'll put it back up. Does that show up okay? Okay,
Yes.
here we go for our completion. And homage to the perfection of wisdom, the lovely, the holy. The perfection of wisdom gives light, unstained. The entire world cannot stain her. She is a source of light, and from everyone in the triple world she removes darkness. Most excellent are her works. She brings light so that all fear and distress may be forsaken, and disperses the gloom and darkness of delusion. She herself is an organ of vision. She has a clear knowledge of the own being of all Dharma, for she does not stray away from it. The perfection of wisdom of the Buddhas sets in motion the wheel of Dharma. Thank you for your presence here today and for all the warm wishes and support that I've gotten in the last few months and continue to receive. I appreciate it. And I thank Chris for sending me the poem by Richardson, which I wouldn't have known otherwise. So that's a true gift. And I'll make sure that we have those available with the recording so you can see them. And Marla?
Please remember that Appamada programs and facilities are supported through your generosity, and your support makes a huge difference. I've just put the link for the contributions on the website into the chat window. Thank you. And if you'd like to continue to meet or share or just simply connect with some of us after Flint's talk, please just stay online and join me and others for after inquiry, or what we call the porch, for a further 30 minutes. Thank you.